What's good, everybody? This is Otis here, and I know I've been off for about like a week or so. I've been basically sick, and so now I'm a little bit better too, and I had to work on some school stuff, and so this video, I uploaded the pictures yesterday, so today I'm going to upload the audio of my school project. So it's basically just some information about tuna, so if you guys want to watch it, go ahead, and hope you guys enjoy it. Tuna. Most of you know this fish when it comes in a can or is being served by a sushi chef, but these wonderful fish have been on a steady decline since the 1950s due to overfishing. There are three major types of tuna. The first one and the most popular one is albacore. About 90% of all albacore is canned. They grow to 4 feet long and 75 pounds. The second most popular tuna is yellowfin. 60% of it is canned, and they grow to 7 feet long and 350 pounds. Bluefin, the most expensive tuna, where an adult average fish can cost between $100,000 and $200,000, and they grow to 10 feet long and over 1,000 pounds. These are the three major types of tuna, and they're all threatened or endangered with a few exceptions in a couple areas of the world. Tuna are the only fish to be warm-blooded, and they are always warmer than the surrounding water. This is a reason why tuna are red meat. Even the albacore are slightly red meat. Tuna need to swim their body length every second to get enough oxygen. Tuna are located in all oceans of the world except the polar regions. Tuna were never targeted by fishermen until 1910 due to their size and inadequate gear. Tuna were always popular in America, but globally didn't get popular until about the 1950s. It was at this time when Japanese cargo flights had nothing to bring back to Japan or return flights from the USA. So Japanese businessmen started to buy up as much tuna as possible to sell in Japan and other parts of the world. Japan was getting used to the red meat since the American involvement after World War II, so tuna became very common. Up until this point in time, Japanese people had almost never ate tuna because of the bloody taste, and so it was only eaten by the poor. Previously, tuna was buried for around 6 days in the ground to take the bloody taste out of it. Since everyone was now used to this taste, this was no longer needed. Tuna fishing techniques started out with basic nets and poles and line, but this type of fishing can't support the current demand of tuna. In the 1960s, purse snaring became the best method for commercially catching tuna. This method involves a bait boat attracting the school of tuna towards the surface and a bigger boat that encircles the tuna to capture the entire school. The school of tuna is then brought on board to process the catch, and any fish that are caught will die from the weight of the other fish and can't be released. Or the school will be transferred to pens to be fattened up and processed at a later time. Canning was the preferred method until refrigeration started to improve in the 1980s. Up until this point in time, fish were kept on ice that the boats needed to continuously produce, and the fish could only be kept on the boats for a couple of days. This limited the boats' range, where they were able to fish and how long they could fish. In the 1980s, the systems called the RSW holds became invented. Once the fish are captured and cleaned, they are put into these holds. RSW is refrigerated seawater and can keep fish fresh up to 45 days. RSWs can be applied in two ways. First, it can be with a pool of water, or it can be sprayed, or it can be a spray on the fish. This allows intake of the fish, since the fish are allowed to be touching each other, unlike ice. This allows boats to stay out for an extended period of time to fill their holds up. Also, since boats could fish longer and further out, boats started to get bigger. Almost all tuna boats are equipped with RSWs now, and the boats only keep getting bigger. A new tuna boat today will cost around between $5 and $10 million and a range of about 5,000 miles. The boats will have their own helicopter on there to search for tuna while the boat is out at sea, and even airplanes will even help locate tuna. Also, satellites can help track tuna if it's a clear day. Satellites can tell where the water temperature breaks are. Tuna will typically stay around the water temperature breaks, making it easy for the boats to locate them. Tuna spend only 10% of their time at the surface during the day, and even with this limited time on the surface, they are still very easy to catch. Quotas, which are the amount of fish fishermen can catch, were never established until the 1970s and the 1980s, but weren't enforced until the 1990s. This created overfishing, since the rules that were on the books were not rules at all, but rather just a free-for-all on tuna. Whatever the quotas was suggested by scientists, it was almost always doubled by tuna fisheries management. When scientists decided to put realistic quotas on there, it was almost too late, since the tuna were almost at their lowest recorded numbers ever since the 1950s. Tuna are still not out of danger with the fishing at some of the best tuna grounds are located near African countries that don't enforce tuna quotas, either just because they can't or they just don't care. In 2010, 154% of tuna that was sold compared to the global quotas. So a lot of illegal fishing is taking place where almost pretty much everyone is powerless. With the purse snarring and the ability to keep an almost no limit supply of tuna with the RSW, it devastated the tuna populations. Tuna farming is one of the best and current solutions to this problem, but only one company is currently doing this. Kinkai University in Japan was one of the very first to raise a captive tuna, and that was in the 1980s when the problem didn't even exist. They have been raising tuna ever since and have placed tuna on the market every year since the year 2000. A tuna in the wild needs roughly 15 to 25 pounds of food to gain 1 pound. In captivity, a tuna only needs 10 to 15 pounds to gain 1 pound. Now, compared to a wild fish, a captive tuna can be better for the environment, as not many smaller feeder fish are needed to raise a tuna. The raised tuna does cost twice as much compared to a wild tuna, but it also has one less mercury and other heavy metals in it. The university has never gotten any complaints from people buying the fish, and they've also done blind taste tests, and people can't tell the difference between a wild tuna and a farm-raised tuna. The tuna farm would need to be located somewhere near a harbor, since the tuna must be fed twice a day, and they must be located between 1 to 2 miles offshore so they can have enough oxygen in the water. Once enough companies started to farm tuna, there would be no need to recapture any fish, and this could overall help the tuna population out since no more fish need to be recaptured. Now, there are a few downsides of tuna farming. First, a land-based hatchery would need to be built, and for a company to do that, the startup cost just for the hatchery would be around $5 million. Since only one company is farming tuna right now, pretty much it'd be a giant learning curve growing tuna, because it's very different compared to growing other saltwater or even freshwater species. Since tuna are so big, they must be killed with rifles or shotguns, or they will injure people when they go down there to harvest the tuna, just because they are so big, and it's very easy to break an arm or a leg, and some people have even been killed by tuna when they've been thrashing around. Tuna farms currently seem to be the best issue to solve overfishing of tuna, but it's still a long way off. Besides tuna farming, there's not many other options out there for tuna. Currently, there's not much we can do since most of the fishing takes place in foreign waters. If scientists were able to set proper quotas and enforce the tuna fishing quotas, tuna farming would never need to come around. The only other option that seems possible right now is consuming less tuna, so not as many tuna would have to be caught. And that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Basically, if you guys got any questions, just shoot it down in the comments section. The first couple of pictures, that's me holding up an albacore, yellowfin, and bluefin there at the very beginning. It's like this, like the third, fourth, and fifth picture. But other than that, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I know it's very different, but my voice is able to talk now, so I'll be doing commentaries and stuff if you're still listening. But hope you guys enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.